Some of the most important things I've learned over the years, things that you really only get from experience, is just understanding the necessity of speed. You know, there just isn't time for anything anymore. If you get a job, there's usually a timetable that's reasonable if you're quick. The faster you get, the happier people will be. And hopefully you're able to manage that so you're not always working at a high speed because you don't want to get burnt out. And that's the second part of that, just a really important piece of color grading, or just any thing about filmmaking, is really be careful not to burn yourself out. I love filmmaking, I love film, does not love me, okay? It's, even though I'm passionate about it, I still have to take care of myself. And I have a responsibility to myself to do that. If you're constantly working, if you're not taking care of yourself, or if you have a family at home and you're not taking care of them, or just being available for the people in your life, then you're really doing yourself a disservice, and there's not going to be the reward that you might think there would be. Do your best to be a people person. It's really easy to be an asshole, but you have to come at people with the best intentions, because they're coming at you with best intentions. Even if they make your job a little harder or they don't know, be a teacher, be a steward, you know, help people help you, and that will always be rewarded in really solid relationships. The film industry, the advertising industry, whatever it is, it's all built on relationships. So don't be an asshole. That's a big, that's a big one. Be sure to take breaks. That's kind of a, for color grading in particular, that's a big deal, because your eyes will tune into pretty much whatever they've been looking at. So if you've been looking at a screen for a while, your color balance might be off, your internal color balance. So take a walk, you know, get outside, do something else for a minute. You need to reset your brain, you need to reset your eyes. You owe that to yourself, and you owe that to the work. Try to remember that you're doing this because you love it. When you stop loving it, something's wrong. That's a warning sign of being burnt out. So do what you have to do to make sure that this is the right thing for you. If you're miserable in doing your job, it'll reflect in your work, and it also will make you miserable. So do yourself a favor and make sure, check in and just ask yourself, do I still love this? And if the answer is yes, keep doing it. And if it's not, just think about it and figure out what you have to do to get back to that. It's important to think of yourself as a steward for the work. Don't take feedback personally. Really don't take anything personally. Usually it's not about you. Almost always it's never about you. So whatever it is, don't take it personally. It's not about you. Do your best to help other people and just get the job done in a way that works for everybody. There is no shortcut to greatness. You have to put in the time. You have to work on a lot. You need to get in 10,000 hours. That is a necessity. Keep expanding your knowledge. Do that through experience. Do that through reading. Do that through watching tutorials. Do whatever you have to. If color grading is a passion for you and you want to be great, you have to do the work. Don't forget about the basics. Always come back to the color theory. Come back to the zone system. Look at your image, take a step back and say, what should this look like? If you want to be great, always remember the basics. When you get into a color grading software, you have so many tools, but the most important tool to use are the basic ones, and everything else from there is really built up on those basic tools. You have to look at the image as a whole. Don't get caught up in these tiny details. Maybe it's a little off, maybe it's not. But when you really just hyper focus on something and try to find the right tool and spend hours on something that's just not working, it's never gonna work, and you're gonna deliver late. So always go back to the basics. Those basic tools are your number one asset. Your color theory is your number one asset. From there, sure, trends happen, they come and go. Sometimes colorists do this, sometimes colorists do that. Something colorists did 5 years ago, they might be doing again. Sometimes you'll emulate film, but those things come and go. The theory never changes.